I mean, this is the biggest stage we've played on all year, and they played at their absolute peak. So super proud of the guys. Noel gets them ready every single week. The guys believe in each other, play for one another. You know, they play team defense, and they're aggressive and tenacious, and they just get after you. And it's not easy to complete balls on them. They contest everything. You know, if you do complete something on them, they always believe they can take it away. And I think that's what we've learned about them. You know, when we're watching it on the sidelines, watching the defensive guys on the field, I look at it every time you complete a ball and you may get a first down, we're all thinking about the next opportunity they're going to have to take it away. That's honestly the feeling on our sidelines. And that's only created by doing it. That's by action. It's not by words. It's all by action. And you watch us play on defense, that's the feeling you get.
Just run through every possibility throughout preparing for a game like this. This might happen, that might happen. Running your offense the way you want to run it, your defense the way you run it. In every possibility in your mind, did this game go anywhere close to that?
I believed that defensively, yes, we could play at the high level we've been sustaining and playing at. You know, offensively, I know how good of defense they have, and I knew, you know, there's going to be times where we were going to have to, you know, rely on our defense to get some stops and keep us on the field, and make plays when they were there against our defense. And special teams, I know what we're capable of. I knew it would be a three-phase game if we were going to win it. We'd have to play well in all three phases. I did say before the game, someone asked me what the number one, what I thought was going to be the number one predictor of an outcome, and I said turnover margin, and I was very, you know, I believe that. I think we've talked about that all year. We thought turnover margin was the biggest predictor of wins and losses, and so I think we were +6 or +7 on the day, and anytime you do that in any game, it's hard to lose. And so in a championship game, you know, I thought that was going to be the biggest deal, and I ultimately believe in our guys. So yes, I did feel like it was going to go in some ways our way, maybe not necessarily all that way, but I did feel like we'd make enough plays in the game to win it.
I don't think you'll see many games where one team will turn it over 9 times and the other team will be sacked 7 times.
Yeah, no, I mean, they did a good job of getting after us. You know, they had a very stout front seven. They had a good game plan. You know, we need to look at that and get better. You know, it's kind of the things that we've talked about all year on offense. It takes communication. All 7 guys or 6 guys are protecting, physical, you know, play up front, and then the quarterback has to make good, quick decisions too. And then obviously as a play caller, I got to help too. So we weren't up to snuff tonight in that way, but we did make enough plays to hold the ball and to score when we needed to score. And then you rely on a strong defensive performance. And, you know, that's what we did. And like I said, also our special teams, there were times, you know, obviously scoring with Lech, the one he did, and then, you know, shutting down their return game, which is a huge part of their success as well. So, you know, again, a 3-phase football game, for us, felt like we've done that down the stretch. You know, that's the main reason we won 7 games, is because we can do that as a team and make it a team effort. So, you know, I'm very proud of the guys.
Jason, did your defense rattle Chad Kelly?
Well, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to ask him that question. When a team that's not used to turning over the ball as much as they did. I mean, they led the league, and it was by a far margin and turnover margin on the whole season. They did a great job of taking it away, but their offense did a good job of, you know, not turning it over. And I think sometimes when you get into big games and you start to turn it over, you know, it kind of just keeps snowballing. And again, we're the type of defense that feeds off of that, and they're used to it. They're used to creating turnovers. So all of a sudden you give us a couple, they're just going to keep attacking. And so I don't know. I think we make it uncomfortable for quite a few quarterbacks we've played down the stretch. You know, and obviously he wasn't much different than that, but to say we rattled him, I mean, that's a question for him. I do know we did a great job of playing to the ball and being aggressive on it. You know, collapsing the pocket, making him move, get to his second and third reads. You know, and then obviously when you are trying to come from behind, you're trying to make plays as well, and that can kind of lend itself to bad plays.
Talk to us about the Sankey and Lemon additions late in the season.
They've been tremendous. I give a lot of credit to Danny for making that happen for us because, obviously we talked about it as a staff about those two players when we did bring them in, what kind of impact we thought they would have on our team. Did we need them? I mean, that was another thing because we felt like we had depth, but man, there are tremendous players in our league and we were able to afford them because at that time of year, that's a GM's call whether he can do that. He was able to make it work. And then obviously I give Noel a lot of credit for coaching them up, all the defensive coaches coaching those two players up, getting them ready to play. And both those players came in and played the first week they were in our building. So they themselves did a great job of assimilating to our defense, learning our defense. Our coaches did a great job coaching them up, but they also just got better and better each week they played. And I give a lot of credit to the guys in the locker room for making that happen as well. But my hats are off to both of those individuals because they've both been very successful in other places and came in and kind of fell in line or came a part of what we are and what we preach every day, which is a great team culture. And, they've both fit in so well with that.
It looked like they had a good effect on your young players.
Absolutely. They're both leaders. Sankey came in, and again, it's hard for a middle linebacker to come in and play 3 days later for you, and he was able to do that communication-wise. Sean's been phenomenal with our young guys. I mean, and our whole team. I mean, we're not a super old team. We got a lot of young guys playing, and, he's a vet, and he's been there, done that, and he's been on a lot of teams, and he has a lot of words of wisdom, and he's not afraid to speak his mind, and we've given him that platform, because we think it comes from a great place. And so, yes, from day one, both those guys have been looked at as leaders. I think they both play positions on our team that's conducive to that. And obviously Sean's age plays a factor in that, being a leader and being looked up to. But Sankey plays a middle linebacker position where you need a leader, and he's done a tremendous job.
Coach, how much of a tone setter was Mark Antoine's pick six so early in the game today?
I mean, it was huge. It wasn't much different than the previous week when the team was driving the first drive, and all of a sudden there's a turnover. Yet that one was going, and then that one was a TD. And yes, we've seen it, though. We've seen it from the Mark against Ottawa. We've seen it against BC that got called back on the road. We know what he's capable of. No one was surprised, I think, when he got it that he was able to do what he did, but it came at such a huge time for us. They're a fast-starting football team. They've outscored their in the first quarter every opponent just about. They're plus a whole bunch of points. So to get up on them early and to make that play and put a little bit of a doubt in their mind, that was huge, and it was great confidence builder for us. And but again, I think it goes back to there's not one guy on our sidelines when a team's driving our defense that doesn't think that's in our favor. All we got to do is stop them before the goal line. We feel like we're going to stop you and make a play or make a bigger play. And they did that quite a few times tonight.
Obviously, too, you guys were 11-7 throughout the year, but the 7 losses came against the three teams that were left. So how important was it just to come in today, win this game, and now go to the Grey Cup?
Well, I think it was important for everybody outside our building to kind of believe that we can actually beat the top teams. I don't think there's anybody in our locker room before today that didn't think we were capable. I think we've played some really good football against those teams, just haven't won those games. And anytime you put yourself in position to win, you're gonna win if you just keep putting yourself in position. So I think there's a lot of confidence brewing in that locker room. They didn't need this as vindication to know they can play with the top teams. But obviously it comes in the biggest game we've played all year, and we haven't been shy about it, saying it, that we've put ourselves in position to play big games at the end of the year, and they're all going to get bigger as you keep playing. And obviously win this one, the biggest is yet to come. We put ourselves in position that, and I don't think there's one person in our locker room that doubts that we can beat whoever we play on that day.
Two last question here.
Okay.
Benoit and Matt.
How is special for you to go to the Grey Cup in Hamilton, but particularly it's special for you to go there?
I think it's special to go to any city to play the Grey Cup, to be quite honest with you. I think you're just excited about, that you're in the game. I'm extremely excited thinking about it. Basically a year ago, I wasn't on a football team, and to think of getting hired in December and having a vision with Danny about how this team was going to look this year and working so hard to get an opportunity to go to the Grey Cup, that's all my focus is on. I'm so excited about the group we have to work with, our organization, how much we've come together, how hard we've worked for this. Where we're playing is the furthest thing from my mind. I'm just excited that we're all together in that city.
Knowing obviously it's the last week and you don't know who you're going to play, but is there anything that you want to emphasize that you need to improve going into the last week?
I think we're going to continue to do what we do, and that's focus on ourselves. We've already talked about in that locker room. We're excited about getting back to work. We're going to enjoy the hell out of this one, but there's not one guy that's not going to look forward to tomorrow's meeting at 10 a.m. to figure out what our schedule is so that we can get back to work. That's what this team has been about all year, is working hard and working together and working for one another, and that's been our calling card. And so we will not focus on the other team. We'll focus on ourselves. We obviously game plan everybody, but we'll focus on ourselves this week and getting ourselves to the best of our abilities, because we know that's what it's going to take to win. We're going to have to be great to win.
All week now, you talked about the confidence in that locker room. You can strike that, you can say all season long you talk about the confidence, but there's one thing to be confident, and that's another thing to outmatch a 16-2 football team like you did today. How did it turn out, and how did it happen?
Well, what I told you guys leading up to this game, that they weren't going to give it to us, we had to take it from them. And the opening drive, I think we solidified what our intentions were in this game. And with DeQuad going down the field on an interception touchdown on the 2 or 3 yard line, we played a 3-phase football game tonight, in my opinion. And, offensively, I speak mostly on offense, obviously, because I play on offense, but that was the number one defense statistically in the league all year. So we did as much as we needed to do. And when our defense is taking the ball away and forcing turnovers and forcing 2-and-outs. If you want to get into a turnover battle with us, we believe offensively we're one of the best at protecting the football, staying on the field when we have to stay on the field, and scoring points when we need to score points. You think about the kick return. After they went down and they scored a touchdown, Lech goes down and scores a touchdown, right? Like all night we played 3-phase football. When one team kind of faltered off a little bit, the next team stood on their head and helped them out. And so I'm just incredibly proud of this team. And I told a lot of people after the game, offenses win games, defense wins championships. And that was evident tonight. And our defense is a championship-winning defense. And that's why I know any opponent we go against, we will always have a chance.
You've ever been sacked in a game 7 times and won?
That's for you guys to know. I know I've been sacked quite a bit throughout my career, and that's just because I'm more of a mobile guy. But like I said, Toronto's defense was statistically they were number 1 in a lot of categories, and I believe our defense was number 2 in a lot of categories. So we knew we had our work cut out for us, and they were coming off a bye. They were healthy. And what I told the guys in the first half, I felt like we just weren't as efficient as we needed to be on first down. And something that we've relied on heavily is running the football, and they were the number 1 defense in stopping the run. So they put us in a lot of second and long situations, and it's difficult for offensive line when you have guys pinning their ears back knowing you're in a drop back situation. But here's the thing I'm so proud of this team is we did not waver one bit. When things happened, things broke down, we did not waver one bit, and we believed in each other, and that's what we've done all year. When things have gotten tough, offensively, defensively, special teams, we've gone on the sideline and we've had everybody's back, and that's why you've seen this team win 7 games straight.
What was said in the locker room? You were up 10-3, but you broke 4 turnovers, right? So what was said what was the general message?
Well, we just said we were 30 minutes away from going to the Grey Cup. Our entire, from the training camp to where we were at in that halftime was right in front of us. Our goal is to go to the Grey Cup, and we said 30 more minutes. If they don't score, we go to the Grey Cup, right? And offensively, obviously, we're thinking we need to score a couple more points. Defense gave us a short field. We ended up having to kick a field goal. They took a penalty, and we ended up scoring on the 4 or 5 yard line, which was a huge touchdown. And then obviously the touchdown late in the game with Antwi was another one. What I thought we did really well was stay on the field when we had to stay on the field. When the momentum was kind of flipping in their favor, we stayed on the field. We chewed some clock when we found a way to win this football game.
As an offense, how much confidence do you get from a defense like that? It must be a huge amount.
A lot of confidence, and we've seen it all year. We've seen our defense play well. Now, if our defense gives up a couple touchdowns, we're not going to panic on offense. We understand we're a good offense as well, and we can play with anybody. We've moved the ball on everybody. We've scored touchdowns on everybody. Sometimes you get in those games, and that's where I think my playoff experience came in this one, is understanding not to do too much. There was no reason to do too much up 2-3 scores. Sometimes when you press a little bit and now you create turnovers, you throw picks, you give them momentum back. And going through my progressions and getting down to my check downs, and sometimes you got to take a sack instead of forcing a ball that you don't feel comfortable forcing. Take a sack and end each drive with a kick, whether that's a punt, extra point, or field goal. And offensively, we did that when we had to. Let our defense rest on the sideline and then go from there.
Always special to go to the Grey Cup with these guys. I mean, there's a bunch of guys in this team that they have no job anywhere else than in Montreal. You understand? You know that.
Yeah, I told you guys all year we're a band of misfit toys. There's a lot of guys on this team that, including myself, that were kind of exiled from their own team. And honestly, this offseason was incredibly tough. And I don't speak much about me, but this offseason was incredibly tough for me and my family. I didn't know if I was going to hang them up. I didn't know if I was done, if a team was going to give me a chance. And Coach Maas signed here, and Danny offered me a 2-year deal, which showed the investment in me and the belief in me. And I want to do everything I could to prove those guys right, for giving me the opportunity. And I wouldn't be playing football today. I wouldn't be in the Grey Cup next week if it wasn't for those two men, and I love them dearly. But to go back to our team, we have a lot of first and second year players. And what I was telling a lot of the young guys on the sideline is your first year in the league and you get to go to the Grey Cup. That's pretty special, right, for a lot of those guys. And there's been some older guys on the team that haven't been to Grey Cups, myself included as a starter. I haven't been to a Grey Cup. And so there was a lot of want to, but there was a lot of signs. There was a lot of signs throughout the year that proved that we just had a chance we were going to go to a Grey Cup if we did our job. And what I respect most about this team is it doesn't matter how high or how low we get. We go out, we grind, we compete against one another, and we have each other's back. So I'm extremely excited to have another week with this team, another week to bond. And that Grey Cup week is so special for bonding. And when you win a Grey Cup championship, those bonds go to a next level.
How ironic is it that you might have been signed by Toronto earlier this year, and instead you ended up going to Montreal?
Very ironic. When it got to free agency, it's always scary because you don't know who's going to call. And I had a couple teams calling, but really Toronto and Montreal were the two serious ones. But what really pushed it over the top was Coach Maas being the head coach here and knowing all the belief that he had with me last year, even when I wasn't playing my best, all the belief he had with me, always going to bat for me. And then Danny offered me a 2-year deal. A lot of the teams that were talking to me in free agency were offering me a 1-year deal. I find that there's a commitment, an investment to a player when you want to sign him for multiple years, and that spoke volumes. And I wanted to be a part of this special new regime, right? New ownership, new head coach, a lot of new players that we signed. I wanted to be a part of it, and our belief was winning a Grey Cup. And all of you guys, no offense, had us pick 9th, or some people had us pick 10th out of a 9-league team. Really fired us up, and that honestly brought us together quicker. And I find that the records get thrown out in the playoff, and I kept telling the guys this: records get thrown off in the playoff. It's all about the hottest team, because I was a part of a 9-9 Toronto team that won a Grey Cup, and we weren't the best team all year, but we were the hottest team at the right time. And this team winning 7 straight is the hottest team in the CFL right now. So anybody we play, we should strike some fear into them.
I think one last question.
Cody, how important was it to grind clock, especially you were talking about it earlier, but when they got the touchdown to make it 31-17, you guys get the ball back with about 7 minutes left, just to completely grind the clock down and give them no momentum and no way to get the ball back?
There's 2 huge plays in that series that I don't think people realize. One, James Tuck catches, I think, his first pass of the game. He breaks a tackle, gets 9 or 10 yards, a first down, which he could have easily got tackled. It would have been 2nd and 8, and we would have had another tough situation. And then obviously the next one is Cole Speaker. I don't know how many catches he had tonight, but he had one over the middle, and he just fought for yards and got a first down. And then unfortunately we took a false start penalty where Stan ran really hard, got a first down. But Zima did a great job punting the ball all night. And what I know about playoff football and what I've learned through my experiences is it's not all about scoring touchdowns and points. It's about field position too. It's about grinding clock. And what we did on that drive was we put together about 4 or 5 first downs. We ate some clock, and we pinned them deep in their own territory, having to go down and score 2 touchdowns. That's big. And that's where my mindset is as a quarterback is I don't care what the stats look like at the end of the day. I don't care how many yards I throw for, how many touchdowns, picks. It doesn't matter. It's winning the football game. And I've told everybody that from the time I became a starter. I'm not into the stat business. The only stat business I'm into is winning football games, and I wouldn't do it without my brothers.
The last time the Alouettes played the Grey Cup, Marc-Antoine Deroy was a kid in his living room watching the team on TV, and he was not the only one. What do you think this night represents for people in Montreal?
It means a lot. And what I want to say about this fan base is everything I heard when I signed here was, obviously everything's not going to be the same as Sask. But what I'll tell you is our fans are absolutely diehard. And this franchise has so much history. And that excited me when I signed here. It excited me to walk through the hallways and see Grey Cup teams on the hallways, just see teams that have been so successful, to work with Coach AC every single morning and know how much of a legend that guy guy is and what it takes to win a Grey Cup and go to a Grey Cup as a starting quarterback. I soak all that in. It's a sponge. So every moment I get to spend with him, I don't take it for granted. And so I hope the community is really proud of this team that we've put together, but we're really proud of our fans who have stuck with us through the ups, through the downs, through the winning streaks, through the losing streaks. Our fans did not waver one bit, and I'm extremely excited and blessed to be the starting quarterback for this organization, and I'm extremely thankful that Coach Maas and Danny Mack took an opportunity and took a chance on a guy that was kind of exiled from his last team.
Thank you, Cody.